Welcome listeners to another Cohutt radio channel podcast. Cohutt is a new flexible office space. We offer desks, private offices, spaces and more. Think of us as your turnkey office solution provider, merging the best of office leasing and co-working solutions to make your life easier. Today we welcome one of our residents, Nick Hassam from Reask. Nick heads up Reask, a nationally based company delivering catastrophe risk services in the Insurtech industry globally. Yes, that's right, another local company selling its services globally from Adelaide. Hi Nick, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks Peter.
So, tell us, do you enjoy being a Cohutt resident, and if so, what do you enjoy?
Well, yes, certainly enjoy being a Cohutt resident. I think there's probably two things that I enjoy about it, and it would be hard to separate them. Firstly, obviously, the facilities here, everything is here as you would expect it to be, and what you would require in a co-working space. We've got meeting rooms, we've got all the facilities that we require from an operational perspective, such as high-speed internet, printing and scanning and faxing and scanning capabilities, plus all of the other elements of the workspace itself, such as breakout areas, kitchen, and the like. So, all of the elements that we require to operate our business and to do so in a very comfortable way. And I think the other thing that's obviously I really enjoy about Cohutt is the location. This side of town in Adelaide is fantastic. It's got a great combination of proximity to things that we need to do, such as banking and potential clients that are sort of in other parts of the city, but also has great accessibility and quaint and quietness and in some ways quirkiness about at this end of town. So really enjoy the Hutt Street precinct. It's easy enough to get to and accessible, and also still provides access to the other parts of the city that we need from time to time. So yeah, those two things probably in equal measure, I think.
Great, thanks Nick for that. I really appreciate that. So Nick, tell us, what public good does your company and its services provide?
Well, look, we build global climate risk models using some fairly sort of cutting-edge technologies, including things like artificial intelligence and lots of high-performance computing. And effectively, what we do is we provide clients and I guess the world at large a better understanding of catastrophic risk. So what we're interested in doing is helping organisations better understand how they and the people that they service might be affected adversely by, in particular, the extremities of the climate. So we do a lot of work in the tropical cyclone modelling space, and we help our clients to better understand how it is that those particular hazards can affect and impact the people that they respond to. And I guess that's in two different areas. One is in sort of established markets where we deal a lot with the insurance industry. So we provide insurance firms with an understanding of how their exposure is affected by the risk from these hazards, but also in emerging economies as well, where we're helping a different group of clients better facilitate community understanding of hazard and I guess helping emerging economies to better prepare and mitigate for catastrophic risk. So a few different areas where we're sort of trying to help organisations to better understand how they're exposed.
That's really interesting, Nick. So what would you say is your unique proposition?
Well, look, I think the way the end game of the solutions that we're building are effectively models that help organisations to determine how best to mitigate and transfer risk away from themselves. Historically, that's been done very compartmentalised and with much more of a view to history than sort of the current view of, in particular, climate and how how the climate is evolving itself. So our approach is actually global. So rather than dividing the world up into discrete, what we call basins, where climate actually impacts in the extreme ways that it does in terms of hazards, we actually take a global view. So we take information at a global level and create solutions that look at every single place on the Earth. So that's certainly one key area. And the other areas in that our models are very much climate aware. So they understand not just what's happened historically, but also what's happening with the current climate. And that can be as recent as last week or the last month, and also increasingly looking forward into the future. So one of our tools is a forecasting tool which helps organisations understand how it is that hazards are actually developing in the very near and short term. So those are the two sort of key areas that we focus on for bringing something new to the market, a very global approach, and an approach that considers the most recent and sort of future potential climate scenarios.
So by the sounds of it, Nick, you're actually in quite a few different regions. So you're not actually just centred in Australia, you're looking at these opportunities globally.
Yeah, very much so. Look, we work in a number of different markets. We have a big focus at the moment in Europe, where obviously there are a number of large, sort of global organisations that are interested in better understanding the way in which these hazards can potentially impact them, whether that's organisations like the United Nations or the World Bank or other organisations such as global insurance and reinsurance firms. So we are sort of focused in all markets. We do obviously have a specific interest in the Australian market because of our presence here, but also because of its exposure to natural hazards, in particular in the north of the country. So definitely looking at markets outside of Australia and Australia as well.
So there's some interesting partners and clients you just mentioned there as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, it's an exciting space. There's a lot of people who are interested in this. Obviously, climate is very topical at the moment, so it's just one of those situations where we've come in at a good time to potentially provide solutions where there is a bit of a gap in terms of capability.
So, what motivates you to get up every morning, Nick?
Well, look, we're obviously we're doing some very interesting stuff, and I think it's the way in which we use technology in particular, in terms of artificial intelligence, in terms of the high performance computing. I have a technical background, as you well know, Peter, in sort of information science, and I think it's always motivated me to get up to try and solve the next technological problem, because we know that technology has immense capability of solving all manner of humanity's problems, and that certainly is one of the things that motivates me a great deal. I guess the other thing that motivates me a lot is family, and whilst it might be a little bit trite to say it, it's definitely something that encourages me to make sure I get out and put the most in each day. So a bit of a combination of the both there.
And a growing family you've got.
Yes,
so,
yes indeed, as you well know.
Yes, and so in 5 years, where do you see yourself in your company in 5 years?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question. Obviously, we're growing at the moment in terms of development, so we're doing a lot of heads down, a lot of development of our actual products and services. We're working both with individual clients, but also sort of in a bit of a greenfield space to building products that we hope to sell in the future. So, in 5 years, I'd imagine we'd have a well-established suite of products and services. I think those services and products would be embedded within a broader range of organisations here and around the world. And I think we would like to think that we have a presence in all the relevant insurance markets, wherever they lie, whether it's Europe and the UK, North America, places like Bermuda, and the emerging markets in places like Singapore as well. So we'd be keen to sort of be well established over that time period, and focusing on sort of expanding our capabilities and also our client base.
So there's definitely a lot of growth here for you. nationally and internationally, and it'll be interesting to see where you end up in 5 years. So don't forget us when you're famous.
No. Famous, I think, is probably not one thing you often say with climate scientists, but or perhaps for the wrong reasons. But yeah, we're certainly ambitious enough to think that we can go some way.
Excellent. No, that's really great to hear, especially from a Adelaide-based entity as well, when you've got other people across Australia as well in your organisation.
Yes, yeah, we've got people in Sydney. We've also got people we've got a person in the UK. So we're quite well distributed, and I think that's one of the things about the sort of the modern co-working space is you need to have, you know, the facilities that enable you to facilitate that, and certainly we find that here with, you know, good internet coverage and the ability to sort of break out and get on the phone with those who are remotely based is certainly advantageous. So that's pretty much a must-have for all new co-working spaces, and we've certainly got it here at Cohutt.
Okay, thank you. So here's a few non-business questions for you. So
excellent.
Dear to my heart.
Okay.
So what's your favourite sweet or cake?
Well, look, if this one's dear to your heart, Petty, you're going to be quite disappointed because I don't eat sugar.
Okay.
I gave it up a couple of years ago. I mean, obviously I eat it in some context, but I don't eat a lot of sweet things. I'm very much a savoury man. But if I was still eating sugar, I'd probably have something quite sweet, something like a Starburst lolly or something like that. I used to be quite partial to those. So there you go.
Okay, well, I'm pretty partial to a range of sweets.
I can imagine.
That's one of my downfalls. And coffee, what kickstarts you in the morning or keeps you going during the day? What type of coffee?
Look, it's going to be two flat whites in the morning. I'm drinking soy milk at the moment, but I can drink regular milk as well. But occasionally in the afternoon I've got to go for an espresso, or potentially after a nice meal at night I'll even have an espresso to finish off the meal. But I can't leave the house without having one flat white, and I've got to have another one in the morning to make sure I can see through to lunch.
Okay, well, Nick, really appreciate your time and spending your time for this interview, and we wish you all the best for your trajectory growth. Listeners, stay tuned for more interviews with residents and some special guests. If you want to know more about Reask, go to our website and you can hit the link there. So our website is www.cohutt.space, or follow us on Instagram or Twitter with @CohuttSpace. Thank you.